There's a lot of back and forth about surrender, so I'll get into that a little bit. So there's this idea that surrender is to give up, that it's weak, that it lacks faith. And it does look like all of those things, but it is not. It is the opposite of all of those things. So first of all, when it looks like somebody is giving up when they surrender, it would be actually akin to, in Christianity, giving it over to God. So having an understanding that there's an intelligence higher than what is understood through the filter of the mind. And then understanding, having a faith that that intelligence is taking care of things better than the mind can understand. There's also a kind of surrender of personal will in that. So when it is believed that I am the person, then of course what seems to happen to the person seems to affect who I am. When that is kind of untangled, when it's understood, then there is no investment, there's no attachment to human outcomes. Instead, there's a shifting from a personal will to a divine will, we might say. And this is where this entity that thinks it has all this power really comes into a kind of power by aligning with the source of it. So if we decide to take on a job and we say, okay, it's going to be really hot that day. It's only me. I only have a shovel and one wheelbarrow. The mind is already limiting the outcome and the potential of that. Now, if there's surrender and there's love, and then you're experiencing the world through that, then maybe you meet your neighbors and your neighbors want to help you because they see that love, and there's just a part of them that just wants to be a part of that. So there's a faith in this, that the universe is conspiring for your benefit. It is you. You are that. You are not the small human. There is no any belief of I'm not a lucky person, or this lifetime I was not meant to achieve such and such or do that. Those are all limitations that have no basis in reality. There's no way to prove that. So why function in that way? But beyond that, letting go of any idea that anything needs to happen is how we align with the divine that we are. If there's still some idea that's saying, okay, I'll let the universe help me do it, but this is exactly what I want, we're still off track. Now there are tangible, immediate outcomes to this, which are that the body softens. And when it softens, it functions better. If you think of the inside of the body being tense, this leads to inflammation. Inflammation leads to disease. If we're releasing, then our body, the physical body layer, is reflecting the content of the mind as well as the belief in that, the attention that's placed on it. So the amount that the mental layer is taking up, and then the kind of manifestations of that can all be shifted through surrender. So this is strategic. It's strategic in that when we shift our focus from secondary aspects of existence of this experience to the primary one, which is just to be happy, then everything becomes infinitely easier. And there are some misunderstandings wrapped up in this where we have these secondary concepts of happiness. So we'll say, in order to be happy, I need to know that I will be taken care of in my old age and my children. I want to provide for my children a legacy financially. So until that happens, I won't be happy. I won't be settled. That's a lot for many to ask. I mean, some people are kind of born into the experience that's going to lead to that. But in general, expecting that to happen before being happy is to commit yourself to a lifetime in this body of striving. So you're creating a layer between you and happiness. The mind is creating a layer between the experience and happiness. And surrender is just removing that layer. So whenever we can take an assessment of the mind and say, okay, what is wanted here? What seems to be in the way of my happiness? Well, I don't have enough money. I don't have a partner. I don't have enough friends. I don't have a community who understands non-duality around me in order to support me. This one, I hear a decent amount around, and I experience the same thing. So we say, okay, well, what's behind that? Why is it that seems to be required? Well, there's a belief that in order to be happy, I require a community of people who understand non-duality, and therefore me. Okay, so there's this idea that in order to be happy, I need to be understood. Is that true? So if you trace it back to the root, you can then disprove that root, and you're releasing the power of that belief upon the mind and then your experience. So when we come back to that root and we say, okay, yes, human beings, according to psychology, require a community of people in order to feel fulfilled or whole or complete. That's true, relatively. But who I really am, does who I really am or what I really am require anything to be happy? And then there's our answer. Nothing is required to be happy. Any requirements on happiness are based on a misunderstanding. So when there's a shift of attention from the constructed self to who we really are, there can't be a getting caught up in secondary layers, in these layers that obscure the idea of happiness. Because we're here to enjoy the experience of existence. Consciousness is enjoying vibrating itself into forms and letting them interact with one another and see how different things result to other things. It doesn't matter what those things are. It doesn't matter what those relative outcomes are.